Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
All right, Betty Joe, where are you at? Well, he's got his hands up there for it now. Mike, I'm going to hit the recorder. This guy's still walking and following commands.
Not for taser, I think.
Got a feeling that's about to happen.
That looks like a bad dude, too, to be honest with you.
Which way are they facing?
Police 1, they're facing westbound. I think he may have just been tasered.
Shots fired!
Ooh.
321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down. We need MC here.
They need to get this eastbound closed down if they could, because they're not going to be able to let anybody.
Okay. Police 1, we're going to need to get eastbound 36th Street north. Actually, we're just going to need 36th Street north
Eastbound
shut down.
36th Street shut down.
Lewis, and then probably back off about 3 or 4 blocks to the west of there.
Okay, what is the most disgusting thing about what you just heard? What is the most disgusting part of what you just heard? That's the helicopter tape from the killing of Terrence Crutcher in Tulsa. That's the tape of the helicopter guy. And, the media has been, I don't know how many times they played it. I hardly heard it, but I heard it referred to that somebody had said he was a really bad dude, looked like a bad dude. I don't know how he knew from 1,000 feet in the air that he looked like a bad dude, but that's not even the most disgusting part. The most disgusting part to me, is that they call for traffic to be shut down. You don't hear them calling for an ambulance. You don't hear them calling for EMTs. You don't hear them calling for aid. You don't say man down. I think he's been tasered. And then she says shots fired. The timing between the taser comment and the shots fired comment is like a second and a half. Barely enough time for the electricity to flow through his loins. Oh, this is bad. This was really, really disgusting. And it's amazing because there were 3 this week already. You had this kid Tyree who was killed because he had a BB gun, right? And then you have Keith Lamont Scott in Charlotte. What's really interesting there is those police officers don't wear body cameras. So the police officers are saying he had a gun, and his family is saying he didn't own a gun. He never had a gun. He's disabled. He was sitting in the shade. He was reading a book, waiting to pick up his kids at 4 o'clock. Now, because the cops don't have body cams, well, his daughter, Keith Lamont Scott's daughter, she went crazy screaming at the police, that what are they doing over there? It looks like they're going to plant a gun. We'll never know. That's the thing. We'll never know what happened in Keith Lamont Scott's case. All we know is, there are 2 different stories. One that's being told by police that he had to die. He had to. They had no choice. Now, let's just look at why they think they had no choice. They say they had no choice because, and this is in dispute, but they say they had no choice because he had a gun. But, it's an open carry state. Isn't he supposed to have a gun? Isn't it almost mandatory? Isn't it almost the law that you must have one? So I'm not really sure how that gives the police license now to kill you. How does this work now? I mean, you got 45 states with open carry laws, and like I told you, you got 77 million guns owned by like 2% of the people. But everybody's supposed to have a gun now, right? The more guns, the less killing. This is the philosophy of the right wing. This is what they believe is going to solve gun crime. More guns equal less crime. tell it to Chicago. But okay, more guns equal less crime. Well, now you've got the citizenry that's armed. And so if the citizenry sees an undercover police officer, routing around in their neighborhood as they're ready to pick up their kids at 4 o'clock, and they get out of the car, and let's say they're in fear because they don't know why this person in an unmarked car who isn't looking like a police officer is routing around in the neighborhood, and he wants to protect the little children. So he gets out and he has a gun in his hand. Why does he have to die now? I'm not sure. Why does he have to die? Now, it's very interesting what happened after this. I'm sure you know these two stories. Terrence Crutcher, he was the guy in Tulsa. He's the guy who had his hands up in the air. He was not armed, which is surprising. It's Oklahoma. I'm like, where's your gun? It's almost me. He must have. I was like, oh, he had to have a gun. It's Oklahoma. No, he didn't. He was the guy. He was the one guy in Oklahoma that doesn't pack, doesn't carry. Interesting. Ended up dead anyway. So Keith Lamont Scott, apparently his family says he didn't own a gun, but the police said he had a gun. And then you got Terrence Crutcher, who had his hands in the air, didn't have a gun. I'm so confused. Am I supposed to have a gun or am I not supposed to have a gun? And of course, it doesn't really apply to me because I'm white. Right? Yeah. So I guess I'm supposed to have one. And then if I don't, Kellyanne Conway will say that's why I got raped. Because I should have had one, because I'm a woman and I'm not as strong as the men in the military who do the raping. So apparently I should have a gun in my barracks in the military. I don't know. I'm confused about their message on guns because they don't follow any rules. However, what's so okay, first Hillary went on Steve Harvey's show yesterday and she said she was appalled. She was just livid, and she was correct about this. But
I mean, I'm appalled that Donald Trump will not apologize to the president and to the country for spending years questioning his citizenship and attempting to delegitimize him. And President Obama and Michelle Obama, they've kept their heads high. Like Michelle says, when they go low, we go high. And we got to stay high. We've got to stay focused. And, I know what we can do together to deal with more good jobs, with rising incomes, making college affordable. I've got a plan for historically black colleges and universities because I value their work so much. Mm-hmm. And we've got to tackle systemic racism, this horrible shooting again. How many times do we have to see this in our country? In Tulsa, an unarmed man with his hands in the air. I mean, this is just unbearable. And it needs to be intolerable. And
okay, so she went on Steve Harvey. See, that's the quality of Hillary's audio. Just saying to the campaign, done everything I know how to reach you and tell you. Done everything I know how. Now, Trump is going to be on primetime tonight with Sean Hannity at 10 o'clock. You know what's crazy? Trump is going to be calling for national stop and frisk. That's what Trump wants. He wants national racial profiling, national stop and frisk. Well, as a New Yorker, I could tell you that stop and frisk never worked. Stop and frisk was the law in New York, which to me is the United States. The rest of you can secede, so But it was the law, and this is what it yielded. Okay, we had 5 million stops in New York during the 12 years of stop and frisk. We had 5 million stops, and the police recovered a gun in less than 0.02 to 100% of the time. To 100% of the time. And this is what Donald Trump's solution to the problem is, except that today he went to a historically black church in Cleveland. And he was introduced by that scam artist, Don King, only in America, Don King, who lives down here. Okay? And all of a sudden, Trump gets to a black church. And he's like outraged at Terrence Crutcher, at his assassination, which we all saw in the middle of the road. Now, if this doesn't prove to you that Donald Trump will say whatever is popular in front of the crowd he is talking to at that moment, I don't know what else will, but this is what he said today about Terrence Crutcher and blamed the police officer for killing him.
I must tell you, I watched the shooting in particular in Tulsa. And that man was hands up. That man went to the car, hands up, put his hand on the car. I mean, to me, it looked like he did everything you're supposed to do. And he looked like a really good man. And maybe I'm a little clouded because I saw his family talking about him after the fact. So you get a little bit, different image maybe. But to me, he looked like somebody that was doing what they were asking him to do. And this young officer, I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking. But I'm very, very troubled by that. I'm very, very troubled by that. And we have to be very careful. So, I mean, these things are terrible. That was, in my opinion, that was a terrible situation. And we've seen others. And the police are aware of that too. By the way, the police are troubled by it too. They look at it. Now, did she get scared? Was she choking? What happened? But maybe people like that, people that choke, people that do that, maybe they can't be doing what they're doing. Okay? They can't be doing what they're doing.
Oh my God. That is a complete 180 from Black Lives Matter is bullcrap and Rudy Giuliani screaming and yelling about how all lives matter and stop with the black lives. That's racist. And of course, tonight on Sean Hannity, Trump is going to call for national stop and frisk. Why? How do I know that? Because it was pre-taped yesterday. It was taped yesterday. It's already in the can. It's already in Sean Hannity's can, which is exactly where he's going to pull it out of to present this lovely mess to you tonight. It's so bad, I can't even tell you. But he went to a black church today in Cleveland, and looking out at the audience, he tells them, oh yeah, the officer choked. And the police, this is not the first time it's happened, and the police know about this, and they're very concerned about this. Meanwhile, when this was happening 102 times, unarmed black men being killed by police officers, unarmed black men being killed by police officers 102 times. And when people were upset in Ferguson, and people were upset, in Baltimore, and people were all over the country, people were upset. Donald Trump gets his friend from Milwaukee, what's his name, Clark from Milwaukee, to say, "Oh, you know what causes all this police on black crime? Liberal policies. Liberal policies. It's the liberalism. That's what's making black on black crime happen in the first place." And oh my God! And in the second place, it's basically, what are we going to do? We have to shoot. We have to shoot first. We're so nervous about black men. They're so powerful. I don't even think they know how powerful they are. They're so powerful. And I, as a black man, am telling you this. And it's the progressive liberal policies that have made it this way. And so we have to shoot first and ask questions. Whoa! And this whole war on cops thing with the Trump and the Giuliani and his police officer friends and everyone. Now all of a sudden he goes to a black church in Cleveland and he's like, yeah, it's concerning. It's very upsetting. And, the police are worried about it too. And I think that now it just so happens this particular police officer in Tulsa, she's a girl. She's a girl. So maybe that's what gave him permission to say something about a police officer that wasn't 100% in the tank for whatever action that police officer took. I don't know. I can't get inside that crazy ride of his that's called his brain. That clown car that's bathed in orange, a Brillo pad. I don't know, but I will tell you that was very bizarre. And yesterday when he was taping with Sean Hannity, he decided a really good thing to say would be, let's institute national stop and frisk, racial profiling, which we all know he wants. We all know he wants racial profiling. Anybody that's brown, Latinos, African Americans, just like in New York City, 5 million stops, like no guns produced. None. Muslims, everybody has got, it is an amazing thing. But he goes to a black church, and all of a sudden he's like, everybody's concerned about this. Everybody, it blows the mind. It really does. Meanwhile, Shannon Sharp, tight end from the Broncos, Ravens. He's a CBS sports commentator now, and man, he unloaded on the TV today, and it was epic, and it was worth hearing. Well, I'll play you what he said. And Cam Newton's come forward today. I mean, so many people have come forward today. It's incredible. Colin Kaepernick, as it turns out, was correct, and all this heat that he's getting for protesting police brutality was a well-placed, quiet, personal protest that's catching on across the NFL. It turns out he's absolutely right, because here, we're not even done with the week, and we have 3 more actually, if you include a 13-year-old boy with a BB gun being shot like Tamir Rice. Now, I know what the problem is. You're going to learn today what the problem is.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.